So we're starting again Chaitanya Charitamrita of Srila Prabhupada to continue investigating the beautiful gift that we have received. As Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself says, Anarpita Charim Chir Karunavatirna Karo Samarpaitum Unato Jvalarasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purato Sundara Juti Kadam Vasandipita Sadari Daya Kandare Surato Vai Sachinandana Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gaura Vani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasha Tadesha Tarine Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Hemavadivyo Shavichundaya Tasmai Mahaprema
Purasa Pradaya
Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. So we're taking shelter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that is non-different from Lord Gaura, which means non-different from Radha and Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita is Radha and Krishna combined together to bless us with their greatest treasure, an Arpita Charim Shira that has not been given since a very long time. Prabhupada says, last day of Brahma, 8,640,000,000 years ago, which is like never for us compared to our life, 80 years lifespan. We can say never given before. Samarpayitum Unatu Jvalarasam. Krishna has come, they have come in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then they have remained in the world in the form of Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's why Mahaprabhu has not left the world, and that's why the Sankirtan movement is still going on. Like once a devotee asked Govinda Maharaj, I read in Chaitanya Charitamrita that when Gauranga and Nityananda were there was such a flood of love of Godhead. Is it that this flood is still going on, or that was 500 years ago? And Govinda Maharaj turned toward him and asked him, Hare Baba, you're not drowning? You're not drowning. And then he started to say to everybody, he is not drowning. Such unfortunate. Prabhupada told us ISKCON is in Gaura Lila. And it's true for those who can connect with the real nature of ISKCON. Like everything in the world, there is always a superficial aspect of things and the essence of the things. So the essence of ISKCON is the internal spreading of Radha and Krishna's heart into this world for the benefit of the fallen souls who are not at all qualified for it, but that's their pastime. One of the pastime of Radha and Krishna is that sometimes, because they are the last limit of reality, they are also the last limit of mercy. And they have to be the last limit of mercy in a practical way, not only by some verses in the Vedas saying, oh, Krishna is an ocean of mercy, is the most merciful. Krishna has to be also like this in order to prove it. And I mean, okay, Krishna doesn't have anything to prove to anybody, but if he hears it, then he wants also to live it and to do it. So Radha and Krishna are like this. They have to prove that they are the last limit of mercy. And because of this, they come and they give, because last limit of mercy means you're giving the most sublime thing to the less qualified person. Then only mercy has reached its last limit. Because if you give some treasure to some qualified person, this is mercy, but still it's not the last limit of mercy. Because the unqualified, they don't receive. And then if you give to the most unqualified person, but you're not giving the most sublime thing, this is also mercy, but not the last limit. Last limit of mercy means they have to be ready to give the most sublime thing to the less qualified person. And I would go further saying that, and they have to really make it possible for this most fallen person to attain completely this most sublime reality. Otherwise it would be just fake. You know, if Radha and Krishna, they would come and give something so high that we can't relate to it. And we can't also really attain. Even though they're giving it, it's out of reach for us. Then that would not be the last limit of bhakti. They also make it sure that even though we are the most fallen, we can attain it. That's why we can have hope. We should never be devoid of hope. Rupa Goswami said, Ashabandha. Hope is like a bondage for us. We are slave of hope. This hope is the dynamic principle of our life. Because without this hope, we have nothing. Because we are less qualified, Kali Yuga creatures. We have to realize who we are. It's difficult, I understand. It's painful to really meditate on who we are. It's painful to think that we are in the worst yuga and we have taken birth in very dark situations. And for many of us, we live so many years doing very bad things. It's difficult to admit and to live with it. It's like sometimes a criminal kills some person, and then at some point he realizes what he has done, and then he regrets it. And it's very difficult. Many people, they say that once you have killed someone, your life will be different forever, because you can't come back from this, because that's an act which has been done. And I can understand their feeling. It's difficult. So it's difficult to accept that we are most fallen. But it's beautiful at the same time, and we have to do it. This is unfortunately or fortunately one necessary ingredient for receiving Mahaprabhu's mercy, that we have to realize that we are most fallen. But though we are most fallen, Radha and Krishna's grace is more merciful than we are fallen. So that's not a problem that we are most fallen. As soon as we accept it and embrace with that deep understanding the mercy of Radha and Krishna, then that's no more a problem that we are most fallen. So it's very important to say. So many times devotees say, we are not qualified, we cannot speak about Radha and Krishna. And this is a misunderstanding of the mercy. They don't understand that Radha and Krishna gave us the right to hear about them. Otherwise, why they have sent Rupa and Sanatan in this world? Why they have sent Jayadev Goswami? Why Jayadev Goswami wrote the Gita Govinda? Why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote Krishna Bhavanamrita? Why Kaviraj Goswami wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita? Because according to my own experience, Chaitanya Charitamrita is as much elevated as Gita Govinda or Govinda Lilamrita. Just another aspect seen from another side, but why is this here? Because they want to give us this mercy. That's the mood of Radha and Krishna. Karuna Sindhu, they are limitless ocean of mercy. So they gave us, and they continue to give us. It's not that they just came and then they let us alone. They stayed. They stayed in the form of their holy names with us. They are still as present as they were 5,000 years ago in the form of their holy name. We have to understand this. They are not less accessible nowadays than they were accessible 5,000 years ago, because their holy names gives us the same access to their pastime in Vraj that was available 5,000 years ago. It was not that easy to enter Vraj even 5,000 years ago when Radha and Krishna were there, because Yogamaya was also filtering in the same way that Yogamaya is nowadays filtering who can access this reality of Raja Prem among those who are chanting. She's filtering. It requires some particular purity. She was doing the same at that time also. It's not everybody could decide, let me travel to Raj and meet Krishna. No, because Yogamaya was there. First of all, her protection is that nobody thought about that, because she made sure that only very special souls. But still, it's accessible. It was accessible, and it's still accessible through their names. And it's still accessible. They are still fully present in form of Chaitanya Charitamrita. When we opened Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's exactly like if we would transfer ourselves 500 years ago in Gaura Lila, and we would find ourselves in front of Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. We should not minimize the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a door. Sometimes the devotees think, wow, how amazing it would have been, to live at the time of Mahaprabhu and be able to meet Mahaprabhu, to meet Rupa and Sanatan. But I'm sorry, it's as possible nowadays as it was possible 500 years ago. Same thing, same reality. You open Chaitanya Charitamrita and here you are. The only thing is that we may not see externally, but internally we are there. I remember when I was a young devotee, when I first opened the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sutta Goswami arrives and the sages there asking him the questions. Very beginning, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then I realized, oh my God, that's true. I'm there also, because the book is real. I realized the book was transferring me among that assembly. And that was not my imagination. That was the reality. And I realized that I can open the book thinking this is just a book, but if I want, I can be transferred to Naimisharanya and listen to Sutta Goswami directly. It's just a question of consciousness. That's why Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness. If we embrace the consciousness, then everything unfolds. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita is Radha and Krishna. And we should approach it in this way, and we should welcome all these nectarian syllables, all these nectarian words. And that's one of the matchless gifts that Prabhupada gave us. He gave us Radha and Krishna in form of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He gave us Radha and Krishna in form of their names, in form of their deities. The same thing, thinking that the deity is not directly Radha and Krishna. Is the same blindness that thinking Chaitanya Charitamrita is not directly Radha and Krishna. And even I would say, when you worship the deity, you may not know really what the deity is thinking inside his heart. The form is there. In the deity form, at least you see the form and you can touch the feet. It's more difficult with Chaitanya Charitamrita to touch the feet of Gaura and then draw some tilak on his forehead, and because that's another aspect. But here is the heart of Krishna being accessible. It's amazing to think that Krishna came to reveal what he has in the core of his heart to people completely unqualified for it. That means, we have to understand, that means it's not at all a consideration of qualification or not. We should never put that argument forward, being qualified or not, in one sense, because Krishna doesn't consider if we are qualified. And he is giving us, anybody can open Chaitanya Charitamrita and read this chapter, which is quite in the beginning even of Chaitanya Charitamrita, internal reason for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. Krishna is revealing so much his heart in this chapter. It's not at all a question of qualification, because we are unqualified. But it is a question of qualification in the sense that according to our level of purification, we will access to the reality, to the realization of that reality. Still, that reality is coming down to us from the very lowest level. I was a new devotee, and I went through Chaitanya Charitamrita. I was very new, but I was very much attracted by Chaitanya Charitamrita more than by Bhagavatam. So I would look at the pictures and then I would read some verses here and there, and I was thinking, wow, I want to read this book. And the devotee told me, you have to read the Bhagavatam first. Okay. So I did it. I read Bhagavatam first. But it was already some things that came to me during that time. From the time I was a new devotee, I knew some things about Mahaprabhu's secrets. And so it's like that. They're coming down to us. So we are approaching their mercy, and with the hope that they will reveal it in our heart. And it will happen if we do. We have to believe and be very hopeful that they are willing to make us realize. The only problem that can interfere with that is our lack of personal desire. From their side, they are revealing their heart already. It's already given. And they are giving all mercy also. Tatrapita etadrishim tava kripa bhagavan mamapi. Such is your mercy, O Krishna. Durdevam idrishami hajani na anuraga. The only problem is that we don't feel anurag, very deep attraction. That's our biggest misfortune. We don't feel this anurag. This 10 offense against the holy name, also same thing. To not develop loving attraction to the holy name, even though after having heard so many things about him. So how to resolve that and how to awaken that anuraga, that we should not be anymore saying Turdeva Midishami Hajani na anuraga, but we should rather see that anuraga appearing in our heart. Attachment for Krishna's holy name, attachment for Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this anuraga is obtained, anuraga, raga, is obtained by associating with devotees who have it. We associate with them, we hear from them. That's why Prabhupada is writing his purports also. That's why they're giving us their personal association. So Krishna was saying, last time we stopped, okay. This beautiful verse where Krishna said, I shall broadcast such pastime by which even I am amazed. And we were speaking about how Krishna becomes amazed by his own unlimited beauty. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, very beautiful purport. I will not read all the purports because it would be too long, and devotee can read them. You can have the book in front of you, you can pause and read the whole purport if you want. I'm just doing some very informal, it's not a detailed study, it's not about not missing one word, it's about gathering just some jewels here and there from Srila Prabhupada's purports and translation. So I would just pick here and there. Maybe I miss some few things, but I let Krishna, guide my fingers while I pick the different things. I like this purport. Prabhupada writes, Lord Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya educates his devotees to develop progressively to the stage of pure devotional service. Thus he appears periodically as a devotee to take part in various wonderful activities depicted in his sublime philosophy and teachings. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, and in all of them the Lord accepts the service rendered by his eternal devotees in reverential mood. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna presents his most confidential pastime. As he enjoys them in his transcendental realm, such pastimes are so attractive that they attract even the Lord, and thus he relishes them in the form of Lord Chaitanya. That's one aspect of Krishna. Krishna is attracted by himself. If God is unlimitedly attractive, then he has to be attracting himself also. And he has to be also, at the same time that he is attracting himself, he is also attracted by himself. So he is the Vishaya and the Ashraya at the same time. In terms of Rasa Tattva, we call this the object of love and the repository or abode of that love also. Krishna is fascinated by his own beauty. Not only Radha, Krishna also. That's his nature. And that makes him even more beautiful. If we think how Krishna comes, he embraces, or would say, he dresses himself in the bhav, in the heart feelings of Radharani and in her complexion to experience himself, because he saw nobody was experiencing himself like Radharani. Swadhyam yena adbhuta madhuri ma kidrisham vanayeva kidrisham vamadiya. What is the special sweetness only Radharani can experience in me? So that's also, Mahaprabhu is also a form in which Krishna comes to experience himself to the highest degree. So many things combined are there in Mahaprabhu. So many things. And by chanting the holy name, all this will gradually become understood and realized, and we can also become so much amazed by Krishna that we lose all tracks of everything, like Krishna eternally loses all tracks of everything also when he tries to understand himself. Krishna's eternal dynamic is to take us into his confusion. We always say, like a drowning man is trying to take everybody underwater with him. How do you say it? A drowning man will always trying to make you drown with him, even willingly or unwillingly, because he's trying to save his life. So he'll grab you. And in that attempt to come out of the water, he will grab you and then put you underwater. So that's very dangerous actually they say when you have to save someone who is really like this, you better knock him out first, and then you can save him, because otherwise he may drown you also. So Krishna is trying to take us in his drowning, because he's drowning and he's trying to take as many people along with him. But this is not drowning in the salty ocean that brings suffering and death and rebirth in a painful way again in this material world. This is drowning in the unlimited ocean of prema, prema sagara. But that's his dynamic. Krishna is taking us with him. And we have to let us be grabbed by Krishna's distressful or drowning embrace. And then Krishna continues. Mo vishay gopi ganera upapati bhavi yogamaya koribera appana prabhavi. The influence of Yogamaya will inspire the gopi with the sentiment that I am their beloved, their paramour. Yogamaya. Yogamaya, she is our good friend. We have to really love Yogamaya, because without her, we won't be able also to receive the mercy. She will make the arrangements for us to attain the mercy of Radha and Krishna. And this beautiful purport, Prabhupada says, Yogamaya is the name of the internal potency that makes the Lord forget himself and become an object of love for his pure devotees in different transcendental mellows. So Yogamaya makes Krishna forget himself. She makes Krishna Mugdata. And then real life begins. When Krishna, who is God, forgets who he is for the sake of love, for giving love the entire control, then real life begins. We call this Vraja. Vraja is this Raja is where prema reigns forever and above everything. Where Radha and Krishna are just, though being the ultimate reality, they are just puppets in the current of their own love. Because Krishna cannot fathom himself, because Krishna cannot fathom his beauty. So the highest reality has to be that he, how to say, abandons himself to the flow of his own love. Then the things can really manifest. You know, this philosophy of Chaitanya Charitamrita is a little bit like quantum mechanics for physics. It's where the physics ends, quantum mechanics starts. If you have some understanding, quantum mechanics is some understanding where the laws of physics, they stop. And everything enters a new dimension that's very confusing, but still it's physics. It's considered the highest present understanding of physics, and it's true. Quantum mechanics has a better understanding of reality than just Newton in physics. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is the same thing. When all the logic disappears and only pure love remains. Such a beautiful realm where only pure love remains and where everything is made from that pure love. Every petal, every leaf, every grain of dust is made of prema. And not just prema, because there is prema, in prema there is rati, sneha, mana, pranaya, raga, anuraga, bhava, mahabhava. So in Vraj, everything is made of a very high quality of prema. Even the dust. Even the dust of Vraj is higher than anything in Vaikuntha. And you know, Raghunath Das Goswami writes, because that's Raghunath Das Goswami, you know, he is Prayojan Acharya. So he has to make the topmost statements. And he wrote that even all the love and opulence that exists in Govardhan doesn't equal one speck of dust from Radhakund. In all of Raj and Govardhan, you know, because Rupa Goswami says, you know, higher than Vaikuntha is Dwarka, higher than Dwarka is the forest of Vrindavan, because Krishna danced there with the gopis. Higher than the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, because Krishna has had even more confidential pastime. And also because Govardhan Hill is closer to Radhakund than Vrindavan. That's also the reason. But above all stands the beautiful lake of Radha. And then, so that's Rupa Goswami telling us this. Rupa. You know, Rupa is a very sweet person. She's Rupa Manjari. She is bold but very sweet at the same time. And then she says, who but a fool would not be attracted by the chance of serving in that most sublime place? Who but a fool? That means we have to grasp what they are giving us. In these words, Rupa Manjari, she is giving us access to Radhakund by giving us the seed of anurag, or attachment, that kabe habe bolo se dina amar. when will that day be mine that I can attain Radhakund? Even though she tells us, not even Narada can access this place. Nobody can access. Still, she is giving us the opportunity to attain it. What is that opportunity? Deep desire to attain it. Because Radha and Krishna by nature are merciful. And they can give themselves. Even though we cannot access to Radhakund, Radhakund can give, I don't know if we have to say, itself or himself or herself. It's very relevant nowadays with this walk. It, they, him, they, who. In spiritual world, we are also confused how you should call Radhakund. It, him, her, ultimately her. But that's a particular form. Anyway, I don't want to distract from. So Radhakund has that nature that Radhakund can give us access to itself, let's say, or to herself. So this is a blessing. The blessing is that desire. How can I obtain that chance? That's why Rupa is writing this, in order to awaken a desire in our heart that, wow, this place must be amazing. And she's writing 3 verses about Radhakund at the end of Upadisha Amrita, which means the nectar of all instructions. The most undying instruction forever. Amrita means which will never die. And she says this, oh, by the fool. She's giving us that seed, like placing in our hand that seed by which we can attain Radhakund, only one way. Tatra lolyam. What is this?
Tatra lolyam apimulyam ekalam.
Apimulyam ekalam. This is the only prize. Lolyam, desire. So we have to desire. We should not think we should not desire what is highest. Because Rupa Manjari tells us, if you're not desiring what is highest, then you're a fool. Isn't it? Who wants to be a fool in the eyes of Rupa? I don't want. Please forgive me. I may be a fool in your eyes, that I can go on with that. I can handle that. I can handle it. But I can't handle being a fool in the eyes of Rupa. So I don't want to be a fool in the eyes of Rupa, and so I will desire. I will take that desire she's giving me. It's interesting if we analyze what she's giving in this verse. I will take that desire that she's giving me and not be a fool, and try to place that desire in the core of my heart and accept, okay, that's my ultimate desire. That's what I want to attain. What I want to attain is the service of you there, because she's there. You know, in Radhakund is the topmost reality, topmost place of Raj. And she is standing like an angel there. She is the angel of Radhakund. She is the one that will welcome us there. And she is the one that has come down to this world to introduce Radhakund in our life and in our heart, and given us that understanding. My dear little fallen soul, you have right to aspire for what is most beautiful. Not only you have right, but you would be a fool if you would not do it. So do it. She's telling us, by telling this, she's indirectly telling us, do it, take it, do this. Then you'll become like me, because she's like that. For her, Radha Kund is her heart. Not only her and her girlfriends. Radha Kund is Radha and his heart. Very special place in a liquid form. So when Krishna comes near Radha Kund, he is coming actually near Radha and his heart. That's why it's a very intense place, because and Shamakund is the heart of Krishna. So Radharani, when she comes to Shamakund, she comes just next to the heart of Krishna, and she can touch the heart of Krishna. By touching the water of Shamakund, she's touching the heart of Krishna. That's the reality of what it is. And that's why Radhakund and Shamakund, they are next to each other, because Radha and Krishna's heart, they are next to each other. They touch, but they don't touch. Ekatmanavapi Bhuvipuram Deha Bedam Gatauto. They are one soul, even though they exist in form of two bodies. Deha Bedam Gatauto, two bodies. We call it also body of water, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this expression, a body of water. So Shamakund is a body of water, Vanakund is a body of water. And they touch, but they don't touch. They touch at the Sangam. There is one place where the water of Radhakund and water of Shamakund they touch. This is Gaura, where Gaura manifests. Wherever Radha and Krishna comes in contact is Gaura Tattva manifesting. This is we may speak about this some other time. So they are giving us this opportunity of the highest reality, and we are not crazy if we start to desire. We're rather fool if we don't. So we should take at heart the gift of Rupa and the gift of Krishnadas Kaviraj, who is Kasturi Manjari. They are not ordinary persons writing these books. That's why these books are the most wonderful reality ever to be seen. They are not most wonderful thing than Chaitanya Charitamrita, written by Kasturi Manjari. Kasturi is like Rupa and Rati. She's same level of connection with Radha and Krishna. Asta Manjaris, you know. Rupa Labanga, Rasa, Vilasa, Gunarati, Kasturi, Manjulali. They are Kayavyuha of Sri Radha. Wherever Radha and Krishna they come to this world, they come also with them in order to assist in their pastime. And what Rupa and Sanatan did, mostly in Mahaprabhu's pastime, they just write. Because they understand that's what Radha and Krishna want to do. They want to share. They want to share what they have. Just by their pastime, people won't understand their heart. So we have to explain it. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam, Shtapitam Yena Bhutali. They understand what is the Manobhishtam of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha and Krishna combine it. They can understand Radha and Krishna combine it together in this way in order to manifest in this world their most sublime love, which is called Madanaksha Mahabhav. Adiruda Madanaksha Mahabhav. And even Prima Vilasa Vivarta. And And then that, because when Ramananda Roy spoke about Prema Vilasi Vata Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna, they put their hand on the mouth of Ramananda and they said, "No, Father, that's okay now. We will stop here." That doesn't mean they stopped him here. That means they want to keep something to be realized. It's there, the seed is there. Ramananda Roy gave this verse and this song. So the seed is there. If we take this song and meditate upon it, and if we meditate upon this verse of is it Swarudamodar? Radha Krishna Pranay Vikliti Ladini Shaktir Asmat Ekatmanav Pibhuvipur Deha Vedam Gatoto. Now they have united again in the form of Chaitanya Kyam. Tadvayam Chaikam Aptam Cha Ikyam Aptam Chaitanya Kyam Prakatam Aduno Tadvayam Chaikam Aptam Radha Bhavaduti Suvalitam Naomi Krishna Swarupam. It's Krishna taking the heart of Radha. So is he still Krishna? If he has taken the heart of Radha, or is he now Radha? Who can say? Nobody can say. Even he cannot say. Even he cannot say. That's why Ramananda say, Na ha Ramana, na hama Ramani. Duhun mana manobhava peshalashani. It is not that he is my beloved and that I am his beloved. No, not such distinction doesn't exist anymore. Duhun mano bhava, because our two mind, our two hearts, Paishalajani, they have merged together, like they have melted and merged together. So even Krishna doesn't know anymore if he is still Krishna or if he is Radha. That's the eternal confusion of Raj. So Chaitanya Charitamrita will take us from our very rational world, logical world, and he will uproot us from rationality and logic and cast us into the world of divine confusion. Are you ready for that? No more, how we call it? No more firm land under our feet. Firm land under. It's like when you are in an ocean. That's why it's compared always to an ocean. In an ocean you can't stand. There's nothing under you. Just carried. The only thing you can do in an ocean is to be carried away by the currents and the waves. We should be willing to be taken away by the current of Radha and Krishna's heart. They're willing to, but we're clinging to the earth of this material world. Thinking, no, I want to keep my logic, I want to keep my rationality. Otherwise, I fear when there is no more logic. But in love, there is no more logic. But that's the good. Okay, we agree. There is also a bad version of no more logic and no more rationality, which is madness. And madness is not a good thing. So normal people fear it. But Vraja Prem is the most pleasant experience, even though it is devoid of any tendency to take pleasure. Raja Prem is only about love. And when love reaches such a level that the conception of personal, how to say, the conception of own interest doesn't exist anymore. The gopis, they don't understand this conception, what means personal interest. For us, we understand, no? I say personal interest. We use these words quite often. Sometimes we call this egoism. Sometimes we use personal interest. Everybody can understand. But if I have to explain this philosophical concept to the gopis and Radha, what means personal interest, they won't be able to grasp that philosophy. I may sit them for days and days and try to explain them what means personal interest. They will never be able to grasp that personal interest because they can't. It cannot. It doesn't fit their world. It cannot enter their world, their reality. There is no personal interest. The only thing they know is to give yourself, heart and soul, everything to Krishna. Other than this, they don't understand things. That's Raj. Even Mother Yashoda and all Krishna's boyfriend, they don't know what is personal interest. It's just another dynamic. It doesn't exist there. This is the world without conception of personal interest. Or we may say personal gratification, sense gratification. All this is just, we say sense gratification is a very gross aspect of it, but personal interest is still the same thing, subtle. When we think about my own interest, they don't know what means my own interest. Love doesn't allow this conception to exist. Love starts when the conception of personal interest disappears. Then you can experience what is the bliss of love. Prahlad Maharaj says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as soon as the living entities start to search for their own happiness, they become unhappy from that very second. This is the cause of all unhappiness in the world. Why are you unhappy? Prahlad Maharaj, little boy, 5 years old, such a great Mahajan. That's why he is a Mahajan. And he's telling us, Mahajan is that person who can uproot you from illusion and tell you the essence of everything. And he's telling us, beautiful, sweet Prahlad, as soon as we start to think about our own happiness, we become unhappy. Which means, because every reality can be reversed in one sense, which means that happiness starts as soon as we stop searching for it. As soon as we give up the search for our own happiness, then we can experience happiness. As soon as we decide that, okay, I will not search my own happiness, I will search Krishna's happiness. And I will search Radhani's happiness. Then happiness will start to appear in our heart. So Radha and Krishna, they brought us such a beautiful thing. Yogamaya, Prabhupada said, is the name of the internal potency that makes the Lord forget himself and become an object of love for his pure devotee in different transcendental mellows. And this Yogamaya potency creates a spiritual sentiment in the minds of the damsels of Raj by which they think of Lord Krishna as their beloved paramour. Prabhupada used this word paramour. I'm not sure it's very common, but Prabhupada has a special English. He's from colonial India, you know. He learned English in Kolkata. And this is poetic. It's beautiful, Parambo. They think Krishna is their beloved. They love him because Krishna is so beautiful. In Krishna, Shreya is the most important quality. So beautiful. And the quality of beauty of Krishna is so unlimited that it surpasses all of his other qualities. Except that still his other qualities, they also shine as beautiful attributes of Krishna or decoration, of which his mercy, as I was saying, the understanding of Krishna's mercy is very, very important. Then we can have hope, and then we can make progress. Once we understand the dynamic and the reality of Krishna's mercy, we can't not progress. It's obliged that we progress very fast, because that's the nature of Krishna's mercy. It's there. And there is nothing which is more powerful than Krishna's mercy. So nothing can shake us, actually. One who understands the principle of Krishna's mercy, no obstacle can stand in front of him, because he has that reality that saves him from any obstacle. But Krishna's beauty is very special. So they fall in love with Krishna. Because the beauty of Krishna's form is actually the surface of the beauty of his heart. And that's why Krishna is super beautiful, because he has an amazingly beautiful heart. He is Guna Arnavasya. Praptasya Kalyana Guna Arnavasya. And the spiritual master, he has obtained also the beautiful qualities of Krishna. Because Krishna is an ocean of most beautiful, unlimitedly beautiful qualities, then he is also beautiful. And they fall in love with him. Who is very beautiful but has no quality is not so much attractive. Sometimes in our material world we see a very beautiful person, girl or boy. But then when you happen to realize what they have in their mind and in their heart, they lose a little bit of their beauty, because maybe a lot of things not so beautiful is in their mind. Pride, envy, lust, greed. Whereas someone who is not that beautiful, but who has no pride, no envy, no lust, no greed, is actually very beautiful. And we can appreciate sometimes the beauty of someone who externally is not that beautiful, but has so beautiful qualities. And you feel the beauty, this person is beautiful. Like Mother Teresa, for example. Mother Teresa, she was an old woman. Externally, she was not that beautiful, but she had a beautiful heart. So she has some beauty. When we meet such personality, we can be very appreciative of their internal beauty. But when you have a person who is unlimitedly beautiful externally, in all the millimeters of his body, you have never seen such a beauty. And at the same time, he has all good qualities. What can you do? Only one thing. You fall in love with that person. Nothing else. Krishna means that person with whom nobody can't not fall in love. Everybody falls in love with Krishna. Or we could say, Kamsa didn't fell in love with Krishna. Yeah, that Kamsa never saw Krishna. Bhaktivedanta Swami writes in Krishna Samhita. For these people, actually, Yogamaya also, she creates some external appearance of Krishna. They cannot really see Krishna. Otherwise, Kamsa would have fallen in love also of Krishna. Anybody who sees real Krishna, Krishna Swarupa, you fall in love with him immediately, forever. And this is not only love, this is ever increasing love. It means you fall in love with Krishna, But the next moment, again, you fall in love with Krishna because he's more beautiful. So, and because every moment, it's not every day that Krishna becomes more beautiful, it's every second. We could even say every nanosecond, Krishna is becoming more beautiful. So you have, once you fall in love with Krishna, that means every nanosecond from now on to eternity, you will fall in love with him again, like the first time you fell in love. That's Krishna. So they fell in love with Krishna. This sentiment is never to be compared to mundane illicit sexual love, which seems to be the same, but it's based on another feeling. That sexual attraction, sexual desire to enjoy, doesn't exist in Radha and Krishna. So even though they may embrace, kiss, what we call in this world sexual love can never manifest between them, because this has no reality in their heart, in their world. They do some similar things, or they do the real, expressions of love. But these feelings, they are non-existent. That's why we should not misconceive. The Prabhupada is telling us never to be compared with mundane, illicit sexual love. It has nothing to do with sexual psychology. They don't think in that way. They don't have a sexual attraction for each other. Although the pure love of such devotees seems to be sexual, but it's not what we call sexual. It's kama rupa, which not means sexual. It's transcendental kama, a prakrita kama. There is nothing to do with sex. It's the opposite reality. It's pure love. One should know for certain that nothing can exist in this cosmic manifestation that has no real counterpart in the spiritual field. All material manifestations are emanation of transcendence. The erotic principles of amorous love reflected in mixed material values are perverted reflection of the reality of spirit. But one cannot understand the reality unless one is sufficiently educated in the spiritual science. It means to understand what is this love between them and Krishna. How did they fall in love with Krishna? How they can dance with Krishna hand in hand, but there is no lust. No material desire can happen. How they can kiss Krishna, but there is no lust. It doesn't exist. We can't understand, because as long as we have too much presence of lust in our heart, we can't understand what is the absence of lust and the presence of love. So, as Shukadev Goswami says, Vikriditam, in this Vikriditam verse, he said that this lust will be destroyed from our heart when we let that love, most sublime love of Radha and her Gopi friend, enter into our heart. And when we hear about that love, then that will dissolve our material misunderstanding, which is driving the whole world in suffering and despair. There is nothing. It's very interesting. We have to understand this as a foundation if we want to understand Radha and the Gopis and Krishna's interaction. That lust doesn't exist. Sexual desire cannot exist in them. Sexual pleasure doesn't exist in them also. It cannot manifest. In this world, people are searching sexual pleasure. Radha and Krishna, they don't have sexual pleasure. What we call sexual pleasure, it doesn't exist. It's a reality that doesn't exist. It's too low. they experience something else, another feeling, which is called pure love. That we have to understand, and as Prabhupada said, we have to learn to be educated sufficiently in spiritual science to understand what do they experience, what is their feeling. That Chaitanya Charitamrita is coming to introduce us to that. Krishna said, Miha na janitaha na jani gopi gana, duhu hara rupa gune duhara nitya harimana. Neither the gopis nor I shall notice this, for our minds will always be entranced by one another's beauty and qualities. So now we start to explain what is the nature of that pure love. So, thank you very much, dear Chaitanya Charitamrita, for coming into our life and making our life that was so boring and so confusing into such a beautiful experience and prospect. We do believe in your mercy, and your mercy is the hope and essence of our life. Please allow us to continue giving our ears and heart to you and swimming in your waves by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai.
Question?
Yeah?
You mentioned the 10 offenses earlier, and when you spoke about that, I was thinking, so someone who is governed more by spiritual greed in their life, what is their relationship to the 10 offenses? Because sometimes our relationship with the 10 offenses, it seems like this is something I should be avoiding for my sake, so I don't make offense.
So one who is guided by internal greed,
yes,
spiritual greed, is no more committing the 10th offense, which is not to have any attraction for the holy name, because he has awakened attraction. So he's no more doing offenses because he has become, his chanting becomes weird. He still has to be careful, but by this he is becoming protected from committing offenses if he sticks to that. Still, we should never minimize the Vaishnavas, but naturally by that attraction will act on him, that he will behave properly with the Vaishnavas. He understands that Krishna and his name are non-different. He doesn't consider the spiritual master who placed that attraction in his heart to be an ordinary person, because now he realized what the spiritual master gave him. He is making a daily experience of that reality. So all these offenses he's not inclined to do. At the beginning of anuraga or raga, deep attraction for the love of Raj, one may still be a little bit weak in that attraction, so he may still do some mistakes. Like every stage, it's not that we jump from one place to another, we transit from a state of being to another state of consciousness. And in the transition, there are intermediary situations in which we are in transition. So we have to be careful. But if we stick to the main principle of following that attraction, that will ensure our proper transition to the stage where we will no more make any offenses, and that will also clear some offenses we may do. because naturally a person who has a deep attraction for Raja Prem naturally becomes very sensitive to all the things that create offenses. All these offenses, they are created by what Bhaktivedanta Thakur calls inattention, but it means actually by callousness, by lack of interest, lack of consideration for the holy name. And from that, all the 10 offenses, they come. Inattention as well. If one chant and he becomes inattentive, that means he doesn't realize the value of what he's doing. So, as a word, we should rather use lack of interest, or how we could say in English. I know the French word, but in English maybe it's
disregard.
How would you say lack of sensitivity?
Callousness.
Callousness.
Like you said before.
We cannot say insensitivity.
You can say insensitive.
Insensitive.
Yes.
So if we have some insensitivity.
Yes.
Toward Krishna's name, then we can make these offenses. But if we are sensitive, because we understand Krishna's name is Krishna, and we understand Krishna is one, his heart and his body are one. So Krishna's name is Krishna's heart. We have to be sensitive to Krishna's heart. This is the meaning of bhakti. Where someone who is sensitive to Krishna's heart can feel the pain of Krishna and feel the happiness of Krishna, who's happy, who's made happy by Krishna's happiness and becomes sad by Krishna's sadness. He is said to be sensitive to Krishna's heart. He's not making offenses because he's sensitive. If we are insensitive to Krishna's heart, then we will criticize his devotees. We will consider him to be different from his holy name. We will disrespect the spiritual master. All these things. So, he who awakens anuraga, or deep attachment for Krishna's name, is coming from that. He has become now sensitive enough to Krishna's heart, meaning to Krishna's name also, that he will not make an offense anymore. Like if I love someone, I may misbehave with that person sometime, but that's not considered an offense, because my love compensates. My love compensates for my maybe lack of perfection.
Carelessness.
Yes. So we know the offenses, but we have to understand what is the root of these offenses. It's a lack of sensitivity. Like Bhaktivedanta Thakur would say, inattentiveness. But inattentiveness that Bhaktivedanta Thakur is saying, inattentiveness doesn't mean he is not attentive enough while chanting. He's not enough attentive to Krishna's heart. That's inattentiveness.
Krishna the person.
Krishna as a person, and Krishna's feeling, and Krishna's softness and fragility is not attentive enough to the fact that the name of Krishna is Krishna's heart. Then he will make these offenses because of this inattentiveness, because he doesn't realize with what he is dealing. Once you realize when you chant the name of Radha and Krishna, you're dealing directly with Radha and Krishna's heart. You have to be very sensitive. Like a surgeon, if he's doing heart operation, In order to become a heart surgeon, you have to be very sensitive to what is the material heart.
Delicate.
Yeah, because the person may die.
Mm.
It's be very careful. So the holy name is the heart of Krishna and the heart of Radha. If we want to chant properly, we have to become very sensitive. Then by this sensitivity, we access another dimension, which is called offenseless chanting. And that offenseless chanting, which Haridas Thakur calls Shraddha Namabhas, not the other four forms of Namabhas that will not give much progress toward prema, but Shraddha Namabhas will then bring us. Shraddha Namabhas will reveal everything in our heart. That's what Haridas Thakur explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It reveals all Sambandha. What means Sambandha? Our relationship with Radha and Krishna. So it will reveal us everything up to ultimate understanding of Sambandha means Swarup. What is my Swarup? Holy name will reveal everything. And then this Shraddha Namabhas will reveal everything to us in our heart and will gradually bring us to Shuddhanam, Premanam, gradually. This is another world where there is no more offenses because of this sensitivity. But as long as there is na anuraga, or as long as there doesn't develop love and appreciation for Krishna's name, even though he has heard so many things about it. So then we remain insensitive, callous, and then that's offensive in the sense of this is disrespectful or a lack of consideration for the beauty of Radha and Krishna's heart.
I've heard Aindrapu explain before, and it makes a lot of sense that the level of attachment you have to Krishna's name will be directly correspondent to the level of attachment you have for Krishna the person. But sometimes I think there's a tendency to separate the two.
Yeah. Which is second offense, to think that Krishna and his holy name are different. We have to understand Krishna and his name are not different. Jai. Shri Krishna Nama Ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Radha Nama Ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Radha Krishna. Wonderfully combined names in the Mahamantra Ki Jai.
Yeah.
As Raghunath Das Goswami would say, my dear friend, take the nectar, the condensed milk of Krishna's name, add the nectar of Radha's name to it, add the ice of pure love, shake it well, and drink it for your own happiness.